lips were curved downward in a slight frown. Max couldn't see his eyes well from this distance, but he liked everything he could see. "Looks tasty," he mumbled absently, watching the shift of the man's shoulders underneath his expensive aloha shirt. A small, shocked laugh escaped Candace. "Max!" she reproached softly as they averted their eyes, in case Stephen Webb had heard them. "What?" he asked under his breath. "You were the one who started it." Candace flashed him an unrepentant grin. "So you're into guys?" Max nodded, grinning back. He raised his eyebrows at her. "Disappointed?" Another laugh from Candace. "In your dreams, buddy. I have a boyfriend." "How do you know who that is? Did he interview you?" Candace shook her head. "I don't think he goes to the interviews." At this, she flushed again. "My dad's the managing partner at the firm." "I know," she rolled her eyes and sighed. "Nepotism and all that. But I promise I get good grades. I'm not a useless idiot like some kids of parents in charge I could name." "Hey," said Max, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "You don't have to explain to me. Plenty of people work for their parents. There's no shame in it. You're lucky you have family who can give you the opportunity." Candace was still frowning slightly, but she nodded. "Super lucky. A lot of my friends struggle to find internships with bigger firms. But mostly it's lucky that I like accounting enough to put the connections to use." Now it was Max's turn to frown. Accounting wasn't exactly his first choice of career, but it had seemed like a good idea when he'd first settled on it. Safer and more financially secure than the music major he'd started with. The bills needed to be paid, after all. He wasn't jealous of Candace for her dad's position in the firm, but he did envy her that affinity for the field she'd chosen. "So," he said, changing the subject and lowering his voice again. He glanced over to the microwave and saw with surprise that Stephen Webb was already gone. "You know the Silver Fox through your dad?" She nodded. "He's invited to all our family parties. My dad thinks he's really talented. He's on track to make partner in the next year or two. I've always liked him, even when I was a kid. He brings board games to the parties." Max raised an eyebrow. "What, like Monopoly?" "No, like ones I've never seen before. He always has a new one, and sometimes he'll invite the older kids to join in. I think we played one about the stock exchange once." Seeing Max's incredulous look, she laughed. "Not as boring as you'd think." "I'll take your word for it, accounting major." "Hey, you're an accounting major too, right?" Max nodded. No one had responded to the demo tracks he'd sent out, and it had been 2 months. Now that the internship had started, he wouldn't have time to do anything more about it. It was only a project he'd begun over the winter break, a last-ditch effort to do something with his music before he had to settle down to a responsible life as a tax accountant, or whatever he ended up doing in the long run. Something not music. As if on cue, one of the tax seniors who was in charge of orientation stopped by and rapped on the wall to get their attention. "You guys about ready to get started again? We're waiting on you two." Max and Candace scrambled out of their seats. The second session of their training was important, but so boring Max found himself struggling to stay awake before the first 2 hours of the 3-hour session had passed. This changed when, in the middle of an explanation on inputting new asset acquisitions into the depreciation schedule, the conference room door opened and Stephen Webb walked in. "Don't mind me," he said. "I'm just hiding from Alfred." His voice was all rasp and gravel. Sexy. He flashed a short, ironic smile at Shohei, the tax senior in charge of the presentation. The smile made him even more handsome than he'd seemed when Max first saw him. It accentuated the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes and mouth, and gave him a slightly rakish air. Max tore his eyes away as Stephen passed him on the way to the back of the room, where some empty seats were lined up. "I'm going to tell on you," Candace joked in a low voice, and the surrounding people snickered. "Go ahead," said Stephen. "Just not until I finish reviewing this return." He picked a pair of glasses from his breast pocket and put them on. Max tried